Hello, everyone. This is Elle, one of the dietitians at Enlightened Nutrition. Today, I asked my client Dawn to join me and share her story and her experience working with me, and I'm so excited for you to hear her story. Dawn joined our Enlightened New Year program back in January. When we wrapped up the program, she had the option to continue working with our team, and she was so excited to continue, and I was excited to keep working with her. All through the process, we kind of had experiences talking in different conversations just about approach to nutrition and health. And we definitely knew that we wanted to dive deep into this concept of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is something that we're hearing more and more about, but a lot of people don't really exactly understand what it means. Sometimes it's used interchangeably with mindful eating, and they're very similar. However, intuitive eating is an approach that encompasses 10 principles, and they all kind of have to be interwoven together, and Don will kind of speak to that. But it's just this process that I was so excited to teach Dawn and to see how it could impact her life. And so, again, I'm just so excited for her to share. But this will kind of give you an idea of how maybe you might want to also learn and how it could impact your life and just understand what it is. So I'm going to ask her to join here on the screen, and I'll ask her questions and sit tight. All right. Start video. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
Oh, so I have my questions, so I'll just go through them and we'll just have our conversation and you can share your story. So,
Okay, sounds good.
okay, first question I have is, what is the biggest thing you've gained by understanding how to apply the principles of intuitive eating into your life?
Well, it's hard to kind of distill down into one sentence, but I think really it's just about freedom, knowing that there's a place for all foods in my diet and not living in a place that's full of restriction.
I love it. All right, so what are you most proud of over the past few months?
A greater sense of self-care and just listening to hunger cues. And then also, I feel like I'm not using food to kind of quell my emotions as much as I used to.
Cool. Especially with everything going on, it's just good timing, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's a perfect time to focus on this.
Yes. All right, what would you say to someone who is skeptical about the concept of like no food rules or ditching dieting or just being more intuitive?
Well, I know that it's scary. So I think just the idea of not having any plan, I'm very type A. And so initially, when I heard about intuitive eating, I thought, what is this? This must be for other people. I've been living kind of in diet culture where um, you restrict so much that then when you're able to give yourself a treat, you think, oh, I'm going to, eat all of it. So I'm going to have the entire container of Oreos because I allowed myself to have some. And so it's just nice to know that intuitive eating opens up all foods, but that you really don't have that overwhelming urge to binge on those foods.
Yeah, it changes everything, honestly. Um, okay, what do I have? If you had to go out to eat twice in one day, and this has come up before with us checking in every week, but if that happened 6 months ago compared to today, what kind of thoughts would have ran through your mind if that happened?
So 6 months ago, it would have just been sheer panic. I would have been just going a million miles a minute in my head. What's on the menu? How is it prepared? What's the portion? Will they bring bread to the table? Am I going to have to do a double workout tomorrow to kind of make up for these extra calories that I'm consuming? Is my significant other going to get irritated because I'm going to ask this waitress or waiter 8,000 questions about the food? And then also just kind of being in my feelings and resentful after eating at the restaurant. And so now it's just nice that I'm able to roll with it and know that one meal or one day's eating isn't going to permanently change how I feel about myself or my weight. And also recognizing that I have some control with portions and what I'm selecting on the menu.
Yes. I know so many people can relate to that situation, and it seems so little, but it really has a big impact, like you were saying, like this big domino effect. So um, it's awesome to think that that's just a thing of the past now, you know. Okay, what food rules have you found you've been following without knowing? How have those affected your relationships with your body and your health?
Okay, so the diet plan that I had been following for a couple years before this allowed for 2 carbs a day. And so I spent so much time mentally planning, when am I going to eat those carbs? And am I going to be really good and only have 1 carb today? To the point where when I had this restriction hanging over my head, that anytime there was like pretzels or crackers or bread, that I would just eat like it was the last time that I was ever going to be able to eat it, because I had spent so much just time thinking about it. And so it's just so nice to feel liberated that it's okay to enjoy those things, but that I'm satiated after a normal portion, rather than kind of wanting to blow my wad and
Mhm.
eat everything.
I know it's such a little thing, but a little food rule like that has such a big impact. And I know a lot of people can think of like one major rule that they're following and have similar thoughts around it.
Mhm.
Okay, how do you think your life would be different if you understood this concept 10 or more years ago?
I think I just would have been more present. So, like at gatherings or when I go out to dinner with friends and family, I think that I would have just had a lot of brain power and emotional power to just be able to be with my friends and family and not spend so much time freaking out about food that's outside of, the cookie cutter plan, and
Yeah.
just being able to live life.
I think that's so like more profound in this time too, because we can't be with our friends and family and be present with them. So the fact that maybe when life resumes, if we can be more present with them, I think that's just it's a huge life changing thing. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, last question. Yep, last question. What is the biggest reason you would recommend someone else watching this video work with a dietitian at Enlightened Nutrition in order to help apply intuitive eating to their own life?
So I think Enlightened Nutrition just really meets you where you are. And so I've never actually worked one on one with someone before on any type of eating plan or diet or anything. And so I was able to kind of come into Enlightened Nutrition in a place where I was comfortable by participating in the Enlightened New Year, where it was more of a group scenario. And then once I heard about intuitive eating and some of the principles, and thought, oh, I'd really like to incorporate that in my life. But then it's kind of nebulous. Where do I start? Working with Elle really allowed me to figure out a starting place, and then, sit and work on any spaces that I was having issues with or ask questions. And so it just felt like a really safe place to incorporate intuitive eating, not just go and eat whatever you want. And I'm going to go to the grocery store and get 2 gallons of ice cream and a dozen donuts.
Yeah.
So it just really made it into the kind of attainable bites where I could kind of work through the 10 principles.
Awesome. I think a lot of people associate intuitive eating with a big free for all, like you said, and like, especially when you start out. So I think people can understand that, oh, it's much more than that. And it's not throwing everything we know about health and nutrition out the window. So lots to learn about intuitive eating. Well, thank you so much. I know a lot of people find this conversation interesting, but just also so relatable. And I hope it does open their eyes to wanting to learn more about intuitive eating, and also just working with a dietitian with Enlightened Nutrition. Like you said, we try to meet you where you're at um, and help you reach your goals from wherever your starting point is. So we really appreciate you sharing your story, Dawn.
Yes, thank you.